No pain, no gain. It's the kind of drive bodybuilders and gym junkies alike use to push their bodies to the extreme, building muscle, toning aesthetic lines, and dripping sweat, all in the hopes of getting that perfect body. Now, while these muscle-bound monsters are the kings inside the gym and on Instagram, their oversized physique can make everyday activities a little tricky. From getting into cars to fitting on a single airline seat, these bulky bodybuilders should probably just stick to the gym. Ready to see these giants in public? Let's get it on! Flying problems. These huge men are absolute power horses, but we have them beat when it comes down to the task of boarding a flight. Just getting into the airport is a mission itself, as they can't even fit through the metal detector. They have to almost crawl on their knees through the bulkhead just to protect their head and not end up with a pre-flight concussion. Squeezing sideways down the aisle has them contorting their massive bodies in all manner of unnatural positions, while their tree trunk-like arms keep other passengers at bay as the frightened flyers squish up into the window seat to make way. Finally, they get to relax in not one, but two seats. Out in public. Living a normal life, doing normal things, and just being out in public can be a bit of a bother when you stand out from a crowd. We're not talking about wearing a bright red hat and a sea of black clothes, more like standing head and shoulders above literally everyone else. At work, bodybuilders have to constantly eat at their desks through the day to fuel their muscles. Hulking giants hunched over their workstations, looking like cartoon character Mr. Incredible. They can't walk down the street without being stopped for a selfie every couple of minutes. People just can't get enough of them. Most are in awe about the seemingly inhuman measurements of their enormous stature, but others of the female persuasion have other things in mind. The girls can't keep their hands off that perfect chest, bulging arms, and washboard abs. All's left to do is smile and endure this cruel and unusual punishment. Camera in supermarket. Going to the supermarket. Just a bunch of normal people looking to buy their favorite breakfast cereal. Let's face it though, we're talking about bodybuilding perfectionists here. The ultimate narcissists who love themselves more than their mothers ever could. Just catching a fleeting glimpse of themselves in a tiny reflection is reason enough to take some time to admire their good work. Our aesthetically pleasing specimen stares straight into the security camera, an involuntary flex, and even flicks up his shades as if checking if what he sees is just a mirage. After checking if the coast is clear, he decides to really get a good look at himself, and off comes the shirt for a sneaky flex and his best Arnold Schwarzenegger impression before making a quick getaway. Shopping. Bodybuilders are humans too. They need to go out shopping just like the rest of us. They have the same needs for the essentials: toothpaste, toilet paper, laundry powder, 30 pounds of lean chicken breast, 2 bottles of tanning lotion. The people stop and stare on in disbelief, gawking at the mountainous meatheads as they make their way through the narrow aisles, occasionally knocking a tin of tomato soup or a bag of Doritos off the claustrophobically set out shelves. How do you think it makes them feel when you have your jaws on the floor, tongues rolled out in disbelief as you film them walking past on your smartphones? You should feel ashamed, though it is pretty funny when they try and bend down and grab a bag of frozen veggies. Ballet. Pantyhose and tutus are best left to the professionals. Dainty ballet dancers who glide effortlessly across the stage with poise, elegance, and an air of control. Bodybuilders in leotards? Not so much. The skin-tight leggings and their associated bumps and bulges leave absolutely nothing to the imagination. Packing on as much muscle onto your frame as is humanly possible isn't really conducive to the range of motion and flexibility needed to perform a passive rendition of Swan Lake or the Nutcracker. As it turns out, pumping iron is very different to performing pirouettes, though these huge men are showing that frilly pink lace does bring out their feminine side. They're ditching the baby oil and fake tan for an altogether different performance on stage. Better keep training, guys. Wearing suits. There's a reason why loose-fitting singlets and baggy shorts are the unofficial uniform of the guys who choose to spend life lifting weights the size of a baby cow. Wearing a suit looks so unnatural and uncomfortable that most of the beefy boys don't even bother. Trying on any clothing that doesn't contain at least 10% spandex is risky business. Men's suits aren't stretchy at all, and don't really accommodate a body that can swell up with blood and increase in size at a moment's notice. Back seams burst under the immense pressure of even a mild flex, leaving the embarrassed bodybuilder to either foot the hefty bill or make a beeline straight for the door. Horse riding. Ask any country boy and they'll tell you, being in a saddle feels as natural as walking, talking, and breathing. It must have been a long time between rides though for proud Texan native and highly awarded bodybuilder Branch Warren. Irony has a strange way of balancing out the universe, pun intended. While filming for Generation Iron and overconfidently recounting how he never gets hurt outside of the gym, Branch demonstrates his prowess on a horseback by kicking into a gallop. The horse expressed its immense displeasure at carrying the backbreakingly heavy 250-pound Hulk, proceeding to rear up and yeet him off almost instantly. The sound he makes when he awkwardly and abruptly hits the concrete can only be described as 16 bags of potatoes getting the wind knocked out of them. Ouch. Safety gear. Safety first, we don't make the rules, we just enforce them. Big, burly, strong men lift cars up with their bare hands for a living and use their brute strength to overcome great adversity. That is, until they meet the fluoro orange vest. There's a reason why the tag says one size fits most. The manufacturer has to account for mutant oversized men the size of a silverback gorilla. One arm goes in fine, halfway there, or not. There's just no way to get such a thick appendage through the other side. With a bit of elbow grease and some help from one of your similarly abnormally broad buddies, at last, success, even if the end result looks like a pair of grown men wearing tight, ill-fitting bras. Getting into cars. It's not only planes. Bodybuilders also struggle to get into expensive, high-end sports cars as well. When even a portly gentleman has trouble squeezing their girthy belly in front of the steering wheel, what hope does a 10,000-calorie-a-day eating and training machine have? Ramming the seat back as far as it will go and thinking thin isn't enough to fit a strongman into the cockpit of a blisteringly fast supercar. The only thing left to do is ride shotgun and let out a rather unenthusiastic yell as someone else gets to chauffeur you around before struggling to get out. The ultimate prank. Playing a prank on an unsuspecting jock is kinda cruel but super fun. Put a pickle down next to a cat and watch them freak out as their snake-avoiding instincts kick into high gear. The same can be done to a bodybuilder with a simple inch-long piece of tape. Broad shoulders, jutting lats, and a barrel chest may score big points with the judges in bodybuilding competitions, but it does leave dedicated weight trainers open to being at the mercy of their prankster friends in the gym. No matter which way they twist and turn, how far they try to reach around, it's futile. Their arms are just not long enough to touch the middle of their back. At least it was just tape and not something more sinister. Opening a water bottle. There have been some epic battles along the years, but they all pale in comparison when you see the grueling contest between a muscle-bound man and the humble bottle of water. 20-inch biceps proved to be no match for a stubborn bottle cap, and it's nice to see that the remedies us normal folk use to overcome such an enemy are used by the true Adonises of society. The high-grip handhold, the using of jeans, the changed head, and subsequent full-body tense. Nothing was going to provide this man with the refreshing H2O contained within its blast-proof container. All that's left for him to do is admit defeat, embrace the thirst, and just deal with it. Go-karting. It's not just exotic sports cars that prove a challenge for endomorphic individuals to fit into. Trying to relax with the family and having a few laps in a go-kart after an intensive morning training session is a major ordeal for the freakishly large physique. These little pocket rockets are tiny, specially built to have a high power-to-weight ratio to get the most out of the pint-sized motor tacked onto the back of them. When you're 150 pounds larger than an already large man, there are a few hurdles that you have to overcome just to participate, like finding a helmet to fit that oversized melon of a head and needing a shoehorn to get into the driver's seat. All that and the poor engine struggles to accelerate all that weight. Bummer.